Welcome to my daily review. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, and you're taking a look here at the Nasdaq, a daily chart, which shows not stalling. It had 3 days last week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of just, outstanding gains, and now it's just taking a rest, like a rest stop, on the freeway, right? It just kind of pull over, take a rest. Last Monday it was up 700 points, and then Tuesday 300, then Wednesday it got up to 19,174 there, 136 point move, and it's just kind of gone sideways ever since. Thursday it was down slightly, Friday up slightly. Yesterday, flat. Today, down slightly. But it just allows the moving averages to catch up. And I have the 5 EMA here. You could see the 5 today was 19,070, and it closed just a tick above that level at 19,142. It was down 73 points or 0.38% and closed at that 19,142. So we had this rally up and a little bit of a rest, and then a rally up and a rest, and now a rallied up, and now like a 5 day shelf type pattern as the 5 EMA has caught up. And it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, I expect it one day this week or maybe next week that we see another little, follow through day, whatever you want to call it, a 1% move higher and form another one of these little, sideways patterns, something like that, below the 20,000 level. Anyway, 19,142 is the close today. The 5 EMA has caught up here, and you can see it closed just a tick above it. So it's pretty significant, I think. And that, we had a big move up, and it's not giving anything back. It's just going sideways, digesting gains, backing and filling, consolidating, whatever you want to call it. This is healthy and constructive action for the index. And I'm just going to stop right there with the index action because I like to trade stocks. I buy and sell stocks, so I want to focus on stocks. And I have to start with earnings because I believe that, earnings is the driver of your stock appreciation over time. And today we heard earnings reports from Home Depot this morning, which, is not a great report whenever you see these red numbers here. This is a declining EPS. 9% sales growth, not bad. This is a single digit growth company, a very mature company, but it rallied up to its 200, then got rejected. See what it looks like here. Yeah, opened up higher, then sold off kind of all day. So rejected at the moving average. But I mean, this is like one of those, widow stocks that you just put in your retirement account, hold for 25 years, it pays you a dividend. You just put it in a drip account. That's the type of stock this is, developed into. And there's very different type of stocks. I'm going to make a video on, a 25, 30-year nest egg type of stocks that you look for that you put in a drip system as opposed to like the 5-year plan where you're trying to supercharge your portfolio. Quite different stocks you would have for those two scenarios. And then, of course, we're swing traders here, so just digress there. But I am planning on making a video because I had somebody asked me a very good question about a 5-year, growth stock portfolio to supercharge gains over, a short period of time. To me, 5 years is not enough to, build a nest egg for retirement. That's just not enough time. But anyway, I digress. Home Depot earnings, response, meh, but that's the type of stock that it is. All right, Viking. Now, I thought they were going to report a good quarter. And they did, they reported 25%, but that the guidance was not all that great. The market didn't like it too much. It was just down 5%, pulled back to its 21. Not the end of the world there. That's a nice shake out there. The little handle here as it's building this cup here. You could call that a double bottom, I would say. It's a cup shaped pattern, but that's definitely, there's your second bottom there at 31.79 now, building the right side of this base, and we get this shakeout here the last couple of days. So keeping my eye on Viking holdings. Yeah, not a bad looking chart there. Pony, this is a Chinese robo taxi or whatever, autonomous ride share company. They reported, this is one of those highly speculative names. It's hard for me to buy something without they don't make money, they lose money. They're losing less money than expected. Got some sales growth here, but these are big red numbers in the earnings department. But it did respond well, I mean, to the report. You can see here the cash flow negative. Yeah, return on equity non-existent, losing money. But anyway, the market, rewarded them 6%. And you can see that it just kind of bounced off that five there, that 5 EMA, which is the green line. So, if you're a long-term, excuse me, if you're a shareholder, if you're long the stock, that's a nice gain, daily gain for Pony. A couple others. These two are on our, the post. I post the relative strength stocks early in the morning. It's amazing how the relative strength stocks just keep going higher. But this is Amir Sports. Uh, nice 19% gain. This is classic double bottom base. This 4 or 5 day shelf right here prior to earnings bouncing off the five, a nice 19% move. Thank you very much. We'll take that. So I'm sure that one's going to remain on our relative strength. As you can see, the relative strength line going right through the moving average there. So Emir Sports, nice uh, report and a nice response to the report. 23% sales growth, triple digit earnings growth. We'll take that. And then in NBIS, this is the former Yandex. This was a Russian company now based in the Netherlands. And I guess, Wall Street liked it. It was up 4%. Once again, this is a company losing money, but they've got the recurring revenue. Yeah, it's hard for me to get behind stuff like this. I'd rather, buy a Robinhood or something that's really growing triple digit, sales and earnings, but that's just me. Anyway, nice. This is on our relative strength list that I post every morning. There's usually 23, 24, 25, 26 stocks on there. And this is one of them, and it's going to stay on there for sure, as it had a nice move of 4%, trading above all moving averages. You could see it pulled back to its five on Monday, then bounced today. So NBIS still looking good and close that gap there, I believe. The gap down when it traded down to what, $20 or whatever. Yeah, the low is 39.50 there, so it closed that gap today. So maybe it'll take out the 50.87. Anyway, that's it for the earnings reports. I'm just going to go through some leading stocks, stocks I own, stocks I like, stocks I want to own, and just, some of the leaders of particularly industry groups. HIMS to me is in a very precarious situation right here. I mean, it's trading tighter now, which we like. Had this big rally on Friday up to 64.82, 10% move. An inside day yesterday, which I like, but today pulled back to its five, closed right at the five there, just a tick above it. You can see 0.5% above the five. It needs to bounce soon. To me, it took out yesterday's low. And 57.42 would be a line in the sand for me. I don't, if it's slicing the five, I'm going to look around for some stronger stocks. But anyway, it's got this, the last time it ran up and did this, and I just got that, you just look left there. You don't have to look very far left, and you could see the history of this name here. So that sticks in the back of my head, and I don't want to see this thing fall below the five here. So I'm watching this one closely, and we'll cut it loose if it doesn't behave well. But anyway, it had that inside day. I expected a bounce, didn't get it. So that's an expectation breaker for me. Now it's closed, at the five. And if it doesn't bounce tomorrow, I'll probably cut it loose, even if it doesn't undercut the 57.42. Yeah, it's just, to me, this could go either way. And it's a pretty, volatile stock. It's a dangerous stock. I see all these kids on Twitter, saying it's going to 1,000 or it's a rocket ship. And that always makes me nervous. Maybe it will trade in a little tighter here above 60. We'll see. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see here. Definitely a strong stock recently, straight up off the low. So you got to expect some profit taking, some give back, some backing and filling, digesting of gains, consolidation, whatever you want to call it. But I just, got gains and, I could always move on to something else. All right. Robinhood. Another one that I like, another one that I own. Nice strong move. We've had this on the regular list quite a few times. I took it off, I think this week. Maybe I left it on. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me here. If I look around, I don't think I put it on this week. Anyway, it's kind of extended. It bounced off the five. I'm looking here. No, I don't think I have this week. Anyway, bounced off the five. It made a high above yesterday's high, so that's always a positive. Not making new highs above the 66.91, but close, right? 64.36 was Monday's high, and today's 65.28. So, yeah, that's looking good for Robinhood. Supported by the five. You could say that thing's just surfing the five, and if it just comes back and finds support, that's what you want to see in your leading stocks. CoreWeave, this is one we've had a little bit here. Another stock on Twitter people give me a hard time about. When you have an uptrend, you're going to get expanding multiples, and you're going to find some stocks that people say are overvalued. Those are the ones you want to own. I want to own overvalued stocks as long as they remain overvalued. No, the thing here for CoreWeave is it's just trending with its five here, which a leading stock should do. How many times does it come back to its five and just bounce? So it's just kind of acting normal. Tomorrow or the next day, it'll probably come back to its five and bounce again because that's what it's been doing. So nice IPO base. I know people say it's expensive, and I don't really care. I'm just going to ride that trend until it bends at the end, and that's what you should do in an uptrending market. There's going to be those stocks that people are going to say are way overvalued, and those are the ones you want to own. Speaking of which, Palantir, which everybody says is the biggest bubble in the face of the earth, but to me, this thing's just forming a cup with a high handle here. It made that high on what was it? Thursday, 133.49, now pulled back. Now this one is below its five, I believe. No, it closed a tick above the five, so hanging in there. I know they announced some contracts today, some news, but this one, like a fine wine, it's going to need to open up and breathe a little bit. So you're going to have to give it some time. It might not, make new highs this week. You might have to wait a week or two, but I'm sensing this one's going higher, just because I believe the market's going higher, and this is a leading stock, so it stands to reason that that would go higher. Uber got hit in the middle of the day today. I was out golfing, and I saw Uber was down quite a bit here. Yeah, in the middle of the session. So what the heck's going on? Maybe a good time to buy some calls here, but it recovered. It was down to what, 90.61? Yeah. Close at 91.87, so a buck higher, but yeah, doing nothing wrong here, just surfing its five, pull back to the five, so technically, it's doing what it's supposed to do or what is expected of it, and closed above its five today. Yeah, nearly 1% above the five. So doing absolutely nothing wrong. While the index breathe, this thing is still, just kind of trading sideways, down 0.5%, big deal. All right. Rocket Lab RKLB, this is another one that's on our stock list that I post every morning. Definitely a strong stock and just surfing the five. Once again, that's what you want to see in a leading stock in an uptrend. Rocket Lab looks fantastic. I'm not going to go through those other names. SE, the other R's, I'll get to that in a minute. They reported earnings ramped up, now forming that little shelf type pattern. Pulled back to the 10 on Monday, found support. Yeah, down, this is Monday here, the 19th to 158. And it just looks like it had kind of an inside day today. A quiet day. We'll look at the five. We'll go back to maybe the 15 here. Yeah, there's your gap up and just kind of trading sideways now, which is good. That means that institutions are comfortable holding a $160 stock here. All right, Duolingo, another one of these leading stocks that have been trending, and now it's forming this little bull wedge type pattern. I would not be surprised to see this thing, gallop another run higher, 4 or 5%. That would not surprise me. As it breaks above that bull wedge pattern, it closed just a tick above the five, just right at the five. So you can see these leading stocks are respecting the five EMA. Spotify down, whoa, $6, nearly a whole percent today. I heard some people saying, "What's the matter with Spotify?" Nothing, just an inside day. It was up, what, 4 days in a row, now pulls back to the five. So, gosh, some people get a little spoiled here with Spotify. I don't know what this is all about. Down $30 after hours. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, I'll find out. Netflix, another one of these leading names. Just, surfing the five just beautifully. Kelly Slater stock. Once again, like the Nasdaq, just kind of going sideways here, digesting. A stock and an index can correct two ways. They can correct through price or time. And this seems to be a situation where it's just correcting through time. And it might just be 4, 5, 6 days. Doesn't have to be 5 months like it was from December to early April. All right. Where else we going here? GEV. This is my favorite in the alternative energy data center power plays. Nice cup shaped base. And I was looking, somebody asked me about this today, and I thought I put it on my ready list, but I don't think I did. That's my mistake. If I didn't, it should be. It'll be on tomorrow, if not. 447.50, just a standard buy point. I know I've had it on earlier. But this is ready to go once again. Maybe just give it, some time like Palantir, 4 or 5 days to, pull back, form a handle, and then be ready to go. So to me, this is all looks like these leading stocks are setting up for a move higher, just like the index is setting up for a move higher. App 11, I know I put this one on today. I like this, another one of these bull wedge type patterns here where it just gently pulls back to the moving average of the five on lighter volume. And eventually, this is going to be bought up. It's going to trade through 400. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's what I believe anyway. App 11 looks fantastic. Let's see what this looks like on the weekly here. Yeah, it made that base, big high, and then now undercut the prior base. That would be a stage one base. And, building the right side of that base, big blue wall. As we know from the, I'll let that go. IONQ, another one that I put on the ready list today. Like this, trading tight within the base above the moving average here. Yeah, that looks good to me. Just kind of grinding its way higher. I'm not expecting this thing to blast to new highs at 54, but if it just grinds higher on the five, I'll take that all day long. MicroStrategy was another one that I put on the ready list this morning. Those are the three. I did not put GEV on. Another one of these bull wedge patterns here on MicroStrategy, where it just kind of gently pulls back. And then now the last couple of days, Monday and Tuesday, traded higher up. Yeah, 4.5% this week. We'll take that. Nice, not bad for MicroStrategy. Groupon. This is one that I don't think I've ever traded Groupon. Just gapped higher, and now you can see why it's on that relative strength list. Once again, just kind of a marking time, forming a shelf type pattern, allowing the moving averages to catch up. Groupon looks really strong as well. OKLO. This is one that reported last week. Another one of these that, not making any money, losing money, in fact, but strong stock. So, you just got to go with the strength of the stock and price pays. So this one is just surfing its five now following that earnings report last week, down 5% today. Ouch. But that's what you sign up for with stocks like that. They're very volatile. Yeah, they're going to go up, 8, 10%. They're going to pull back 6%. And that's just part of the nature of that type of a name. NRG, nice gap higher after earnings. Pulled back to its 5 EMA, not even, huh? Yeah, inside today, not bad. Allowing that 5 EMA to catch up. So this is one of the stronger names, definitely on our relative strength list. And you could see the moving averages heading straight north. All right. What else do I have? Oh, Dave. Dave's not home. Dave doesn't show up on the list because it doesn't have the volume. I have to have some sort of volume criteria, but Dave has just been a monster since the earnings report where it, gapped out of a base here, an ungodly percentage. I know some people were buying puts, trying to short this thing, but I would just stay out of the way. Either hold it long or, get out of the way. Yeah, 41% move, and it just proceeded to move higher. Even that close that day was 152, and now it's 196. And it's only been since May 8th? What's today, the 20th? That's a hell of a move for Dave. Dave is home and he's moving higher. SEZL, another one of these names that are showing up on our relative strength stock list, pulled back to the 5 on Monday, pounded higher, but now having trouble at that number, magic round number of par 100. So we'll see how SEZL, if it can, trade through that thing later this week. I'm betting it does, but it's probably going to take its time. And then CHWY. CHWY's the last one on this relative strength that I'm in. I mean, you could see this thing just no handle here, just a 1 day shakeout and a blast higher for CHWY. So that one looks good as well. Look at that. Yeah, cup. Okay, they're going to give you a handle, a 1 week handle, and then the last 3 weeks just pounding higher. Up 5.5% this week for CHWY. Nice move. All right, I want to get to some of the drug names because these things have been beaten down, battered, tattered, shattered all over Manhattan. Hey, get out of here. Stop doing that. Would you stop doing that? I changed my settings around, so it kind of screws everything up. Very touchy, and I got fat fingers, so I hit the wrong keyboard. All right, Vertex, yeah, you can see how badly these things have been hammered, and like there's no place else to go, no more sellers, right? Look at all this big vicious selling, and now some nibbling comes in and it trades higher. CPRX, same thing, you know, sold off here below the 200, now rallying back up, still within a base. ADMA, another one, sold off below the 50, now trying to rally back through. The undercut and rally looks decent. I'm not going to say it looks great, but it looks decent. WGS, another drug stock, maybe seen the worst of this. Traded down to what, 55, man. Now it's up to 72. Undercut the 200, now rallying back through. Yeah, these things have just been brutalized. The entire healthcare drug sector has just been turned on its head. CORT, this is one that actually shows up on our relative strength because of the volume and because it's above its moving averages. And now it's just, surfing the 5, Kelly Slater style. That is one of the stronger ones. TGTX, another one I like. Sold off after, triple digit earnings and 90% sales, not good enough. So undercut the 50. I wouldn't be surprised to see it rally back through. Here, this is a quality company. Sold off on heavy volume. Looks like all the sellers got out of the way now. It's just some nibbling coming in, not anything powerful. REGN, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. Man, this thing has been down so long. Jim Morrison stock. Ugh. Man, this thing hurts my eyes to look at these things. They've just been torched. United Healthcare, down on news, obviously, and just starting to bounce a little bit here. And then Humana, our Humana SpongeBob stock, traded down to what, 212. Last Thursday, bounced a little bit, Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday has had a decent week so far. Yeah, 7.25%. The other group I wanted to show was CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity names. There was a report from Palo Alto this afternoon, and I think these cybersecurity names look pretty darn good. Just like the index kind of going sideways here, forming a little flag or pennant, if you will, trading tight. CrowdStrike looks really good to me. I don't have that one on the ready list just yet, or maybe I do. Yeah, I think I do. I like that a lot. I like that pattern. Anyway, I'm going to move on to Zscaler, little stronger name here. Riding the 5, surfing, broke out, and now just had an inside day today, which is what you want to see. Like a little bit of breather these last 3 days, right? It's not going to go up every day, just like it did right here. Little breather, 4 or 5 days, and boom, little breather, 3 days, and up. Definite pattern there for Zscaler. Oh, Rubric. This is one on our list, leading stock list. You can see why we had this thing way, way back. I've put this on a few times. I would have to look. Let me see. On April 25th, I had it at $70. No, I'm not going to go back and look my notes here. So right here, so it broke above. And I think I even had it on before that, but it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is where it's going from here. And it looks to me like it wants higher prices. Every time it pulls back to the 5, what happens? It just goes higher, folks. So that's a clear pattern. One of these days it won't, right? I mean, the pattern will break, but for now, you just ride that trend till it bends at the end. So that one looks super strong. Okta, Another name in the cybersecurity group, super strong name. Got to look at the weekly chart. This is a nice weekly chart here, a consolidation pattern followed by a cup-shaped pattern. And this week, just kind of taking a breather. All the sprinters need a breather, right? Any other names in this group oh, Fortinet. Fortinet reported earnings and kind of sold off here, formed a handle, and that thing looks pretty good too. Not as appealing as CrowdStrike though, not to these eyes anyway. And then Gen Digital, another one. This looks good too. Cup with handle, pulling back here, below average volume in the handle. That one looks pretty good. Maybe it'll pull back to the 21, which is 27.42. Another buck would do it. All right, that's it for that group. I just got to go to the power group, the power data center construction group. And a lot of these names I like. And you can see what this is doing. This is Constellation Energy. These things got whacked in January, no doubt about it. And it's taken, 4 months to recover. That January 27th day, that was day that will live in infamy. Yeah, these things got hammered, and it takes time to form a base, and that's what they've done, form this kind of a wild base, but now it's tightening up along the 5. So that one looks good. VST, Vistra, definitely recovered here. Trading tight within a base here along the 5. God, I like that one too. VRT, I put this one on last week. I took it off this week because I think it's just going to, flatten out here. Now it's pulled back to the 5 though at 105.53. So, I could put that one back on. I like this one a lot. All these data centers, I like them all. Construction, electrical power, equipment. And these things are doing the same thing, kind of like the index, right? Just going sideways. If we just show the Nasdaq, the sideways action, you're seeing a lot of these stocks just doing the same thing, just going sideways here, marking time, backing and filling, consolidating, digesting, whatever term you want to use. It's healthy. ROAD, I did put this one on. Yeah, just bouncing off the 5, not bad. What that looks like on the weekly. Yeah, they came straight up off the bottom. So, like I said, like a fine bottle of wine, you're gonna need some time here to breathe a little bit. Just flat on the week. Yeah, but when it comes straight off the bottom, you got to expect some profit taking. Yeah, and give it some time. AGX was the other one that I like. I mean, I like all these, but once again, look, it's straight up off the bottom, 101 to 189. So, and maybe I put them on the ready list a week too soon. They're not ready yet. They need some time to get ready. Just getting dressed up for the ball. All right. That's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Except for in the honor of the great Steve Jobs, I have one more thing. Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay humble, and pay attention to these earnings reports. Palo Alto Networks, I mentioned earlier, reported. Now they did the same thing they always do, right? It's a well-managed company. They've got good grasp of their business, and they always guide. They beat by a little. I don't know, forget what the expectation was. 249 to 251, and they guided to 250. And that's what they do, right? They're not gonna just give a massive guide. So they want to guide to somewhere they know they can beat, by a couple of pennies, and that's what they do every quarter. So this is expected behavior. It's down 5% after hours, right? God, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow with the index, with the SPY and the Nasdaq. We'll see. I would think that in the coming days, that's probably going to result in a higher prices. This is a pretty good report. Modine, they had a good report too, and it's up 2%. This is part of that, the data center build out. So this all looks good for NVIDIA earnings next week, I think. Could be a harbinger, as my friend likes to say. A harbinger from all these, data center plays that look pretty good and a lot of spending, CapEx spending for NVIDIA. So we'll see. Toll Brothers reported a good report. Not bad, up 5%. Maybe the worst is in. This is a high-end home builder, though. I mean, they build homes for 2, 3, 4, 5 million and above. A lot of homes in California. So these people, who are buying these types of homes are not struggling here. Yeah. oops, sorry about that. I just want to go through their balance sheet a little bit. The cash flow, massive cash flow, nice return on equity. Yeah, a little bit of debt, small little 1% yield. So it pays you a little bit to hold it, but yeah, just a solid company and a high-end home builder. I don't think this is going to impact. Maybe it will. Pulte Homes and DR Horton. And what do we got? KB. Yeah. So maybe the bottom's in for these. These things have, like the drug stocks, these things have been murdered. All right. KEYS. Another name that reported today. This is a nice chart here. A cup with this, 4, 5, 6 day pullback, right? And then what happens? Now it's up nearly 6% after hours. So that looks good for tomorrow for Keysight. We'll keep our eye on that one. And then Skyline. I don't Champion Homes, Sky. This is the former Skyline, right? Champion Homes. Um, what are these modular homes? What do they call them? Mobile homes and the rec parks or whatever. Anyway, consolidating within a base. Yeah, multi-section modular homes and park models. Okay. So, yeah, RV homes or whatever, mobile homes, up 1%. So this is in the home building. It's the opposite of Toll Brothers, right? This is a lower end home builder. So I don't know. I didn't see the report from them. So I'll have it in the morning. And the last thing I want to point out is Take-Two did a secondary offering. So this one's getting hit after hours down 3%. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Have a good evening.